What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be breaking down and reviewing The Flash Season 7 Episode 9. But before we get started, make sure that you guys like, share, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment any other video ideas for me. So the episode starts off right where we left off in episode 8, with Barry and the Speed Force arguing right after the Speed Force kills Alexa. Then the Speed Force tells Barry that he doesn't have a choice but to help her, but when Barry refuses, the Speed Force vows to kill all the other forces. So yeah, then Nora speeds off, and after that, Team Flash looks into the theory that all of the other forces were created the same night that she was brought back to life, and they find out that that is true. So then Barry comes up with a dangerous plan to wipe all the new forces out of existence, which he says he wants to do through time travel and stop himself from creating the forces in the first place. So yeah, the rest of Team Flash obviously doesn't agree with Barry time traveling, and Barry says that even if he loses his speed because of this, then it's worth the risk. Barry is determined to do this no matter what. So then we find out that Iris herself can be used to track Speed Force Nora down, because obviously Iris did end up helping create her. So then Barry, Chester, and Cisco are coming up with a plan to erase all the other forces while keeping the Speed Force intact. Barry gets the idea to find Timeless Wells and get his help, because obviously they talk about Nash Wells coming up with all these different equations that they're looking at. So Barry time travels back to the year 2000 and talks to Timeless Wells about coming to the future to help with their force situation. It's always really cool to see Barry travel to a different time. However, that was not the only time that Barry ended up time traveling in this episode, so make sure that you guys stay tuned. So basically then Wells says that Barry can do what he needs to do without affecting the timeline, because Wells basically, was there when the forces were created, and obviously we know that Wells also has the ability to time travel. So while everyone is talking about this plan in Star Labs, unexpectedly, Dion appears out of nowhere, and eventually he basically enters Flash time. He slows time down, and while doing that, he talks to Barry as he realizes that Barry has abilities. Dion then senses that Barry wants to destroy him. Then Barry explains that Speed Force Nora is trying to kill him, but Dion wants to keep his powers and eventually leaves after destroying the device that Barry needed to destroy the forces in the past. However, we then find out that Chester has a backup device that Barry can use, so Barry can still do what he needs to do. So then Iris and Team Citizen go to Barry's old house, where Iris says is where the Speed Force would be. It was pretty cool to see that house again. We haven't really seen it in a while. So expecting to find Speed Force Nora in Barry's childhood home, they unexpectedly find Psyche, who makes Iris see Speed Force Nora, who looks somewhat like a demon here. So then Timeless Wells and Barry time travel back to the night where the Speed Force and all the other forces were born. They go on the roof to attempt to collect samples of each force so they can erase them. Obviously, they try to collect these samples from that huge explosion that happened right after the original Speed Force was brought back to life. So Barry goes into that beam of light that eventually would create that huge new force explosion. He collects the particles of each force, and each force begins to die back in the present day. But then Barry seems to have a change of heart as he restores the forces after, some inspirational words that he heard from Joe. So after this, Alexa seems to have been revived, maybe because of the Strength Force, but they eventually figure out that Barry and Iris caused her to come back, as then she is fully brought back to life after Barry and Iris basically connect to her and make her alive again. Then we find out that Cisco wants to leave Central City, which is obviously predictable given the news recently that Carlos Valdez was leaving the show. But then at the end, we finally see Speed Force Nora again, who ends up confronting Dion. Looks like it's back in the 80s or the 90s, back when Cisco and Chester first encountered him. Then it looks like she's about to pull a reverse Flash and kill him, and that's where the episode ends up ending. So yeah, guys, this episode was extremely action-packed. I thought it was really good, probably better than the past few episodes that we've had. But yeah, comment your guys' thoughts on this episode down below. I'm really interested to see what you guys have to say about it. What do you think about Barry time traveling? What do you think about, Speed Force Nora? What else do you think it might happen with her in this graphic novel? And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.